Hello, folks. Hope everyone is well. So today we have a special guest, and we're going to be speaking about a very, very interesting topic that a lot of people are curious about, including myself. I have, of course, some thoughts about it, but we're going to discuss it today with a very renowned astrologer, a very established astrologer. His name is Nipoon Joshi. And those who follow my channel have already seen me collaborate with him before. And I thought, let me invite him, officially invite him, and so he can speak about this very interesting topic, which is basically the Kaal Sarp Yoga. Nipun Joshi is, he's got more than one channel. He's got his Hindi channel, he's got his English channel. He's been around for many, many years. And not only does he know astrology, but he knows numerology and palmistry and other disciplines also he's been learning since he's been taking a break in India for the past like 1 year or so. So I'm going to leave it over to him to elaborate further, and he can also tell us if he's doing readings and how to contact him. So
Yeah, thanks a lot, Anita. It's like everything happens for a reason. You would not believe, like from the past couple of days, I have been doing the chanting the beach mantra of the Rahu. And imagine when I was like in the process only, like last week only, I ensured like a habit that okay, like whenever I'm going to Bharati Vidya Bhavan, there's a Kal Bhairav temple nearby. That just because I'm doing the chanting and mantra for the Rahu, I should be going there as well. And see now your invitation also came and you specifically asked about that. Hey, Nipun, you have to talk about Kalsar. See, because the thing is, when you talk about Kalsar, this is one such yoga which is like Sade Sati, Kalsar. These are certain yogas where, like, if there is a person who has not much idea about astrology, principles of astrology, is going to get scared. And second thing is that if you are in a place like Bharati Vidya Bhavan, where my heart resides, majority of my learning has taken place from there only. And over there, the astrology students at Bharati Vidya Bhavan, they do not acknowledge Kalsarp Yoga.
right.
But what I personally feel is that you do not have to get stick to the nomenclature, to the name in itself. That okay, just because you have to get more into the deeper side of it. That okay, what could be the impact effects? And in this session, we will try to look at the pros and cons side of it, so that after the end of the session, you will be leave on to your own to create an impression that whether it is effective or not. So we will not go by the rudimentary or orthodox mindset which has been attached with it.
Yeah.
We are not gonna be selling you fear in this session, or nor we will be imposing anything onto you.
Yeah.
So yes,
We know, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but anyway, we know that it's not in the classics. I mean, this is a modern concept that evolved, and it is a fear-based
yeah.
concept. I mean, like let's face it, right? So it's not surprising that the students at Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, which is right, it's very famous. I mean, if for those who don't know, this is like the famous K.N. Rao established school in Delhi. It's not surprising that they don't acknowledge it, right?
Yes.
So we
I
have
recently, yeah, got an opportunity to like do a podcast. Like to your audience, I want to also say that I also started this one more venture of the podcast as well. But just because we're doing it in Hindi, so in one of my episode, like I invited one of the senior faculty of Bharati Vidya Bhavan astrology faculty who has even worked with the KN Rao sir. And even when I asked him in the session, sir, what do you think about Kalsar? Oh, there's no such thing like that and all. So yeah, okay, let's just start whatever I have prepared in this. And I just want to say like three things which I'll be putting into it in this presentation, which inspired me. The very first thing is definitely my devotion and bhakti towards Lord Shiva. Second thing is I have Kalsar Yog in my own chart. So I have felt it, I have lived with it. And third thing is that, see, there has been lot many good astrologers all around the world. But somehow I always lean towards Prash Trivedi's original work on the Rahu and Ketu. And see, like, it's like I'm also in good talking terms with Prash as well. So I would say that these three entities have gone into this presentation, my devotion to Lord Shiva, what I've seen in my own life, having a very strong culture. And third thing is the original work of Prash Trivedi.
Yeah,
Okay, let's start with the
I'm agreeing with you. I mean, his work is really outstanding on this.
amazing Rahu Ketu specifically. Okay, so Anata, I'll just share the screen. Yeah, Anata, so can you see the
Yeah.
Okay, so over here, what I have done is that rather than getting into the traditional PowerPoint presentation format, I just created a pictorial form from the Canva and I created the designs and created the whole inputs just because I'll be explaining it. So it's fine. You'll get to know the context from the slide. So, okay, the very first slide is about, Kaal sir. It will be presented by me. Just because we have to talk about the Kalsap Yoga, so we have to first, meditate and like invoke the energy of the Lord Shiva. So, Om Tat Purushaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat. It's very holy to chant this mantra because at a time when we are recording this session, it is also the holy month of Shravan as well, which is very strongly connected with Lord Shiva. I always say this thing that, see, Kalsap Yoga can be understood in this way that it's the soul entrapped in a karmic knot, in a karmic ties. And like the way we say that, okay, like Lord Hanuman protects you, they're like other gods who grants you knowledge and all. But when we talk about the karmic bondages and all, over there, the devotion towards Lord Shiva actually, tend to help a lot. So after that, definitely we have to invoke the Nag Gayatri as well. So Om Nav Kulai Vidmahi Vishdantai Dhimahi Tanno Sarpah Prachodhyat. In our scriptures, Nagas and Sarpas have been seen with utmost devotion and respect. Like be it Lord Vishnu on the Shesh Naga, like there has been those lores. It has been mentioned that it's these Nagas only who are the kind of they are protecting the treasures beneath the earth and all. So we will definitely talk little about it when we will be getting into detail of it. After that, yes, the protagonist of today's discussion, Rahu and Ketu, our favorite. So Om Shirurupai Vidmahe Amriteshai Dhimahi Tanno Rahu Prachodayat. Om Patyaputraय Vidmahe Amriteshai Dhimahi Tanno Ketu Prachodayat. So after that, okay, now for the audience, the very first thing is that because I do not know, I will start with a clean slate. I do not know what you know about Kalsap, what you have read about Kalsap. One thing which I want to make it very clear, let's not go by the traditional norms. We will try to look at it in a very scientific, modern way. Like, okay, I could have named this as, okay, not Kalsap, let's call it Nagmani Yoga. Let's call it something else. So don't go by whether it is there in the scriptures or not, in the classics or not. We will just try to understand effect of it and what is the evidence of it. So, okay, the very first thing is the formation. So the formation has been explained that, okay, when all the planets comes in the axis of Rahu and Ketu, it forms the Kalsarp Yoga. Now over there as well, first of all, the whole existence of this yoga is disputed, is being questioned. Over and above that, they're like those people who try to impose it. Like in certain combination, they say, oh, you do not have Kalsarp, you have Anshik Kalsarp, you have partial Kalsarp. So I will explain you all the formations. So like the way, as you can see in this, like in this chart in the screen, that the person has got Capricorn rising, he has Rahu in the first house, he has Ketu there in the Cancer, and all the planets are in the one side, on one side of the axis of the Rahu and Ketu. Now, just because, guys, you have to be like very clear that when we talk about Rahu and Ketu, they always move in a retrograde motion. So Rahu from the number 10 will not go to the 11 or then to 12 like the way other planets move. Rahu from over here from the 10 will go to the 9, then it go to the 8. So we say that, okay, Rahu is the head of the serpent and Ketu is the tail part of it. And it's just like that for the formation of the Kalsap Yoga, the planets have to be consumed by the head, by the mouth. So it means this is the ideal way of the formation or the eligibility of the Kalsap Yoga to be getting fulfilled, because the head part of the serpent of this is eating this planet Moon, then it is eating all these planets, then Jupiter, then Saturn, Mars. So this is how it is going, because Rahu and Ketu, they always move in the retrograde motion. Now, which takes us to the slide number 2. Like for this, lot many astrologers, like again, those who follow it, who acknowledge it. So they say that, okay, this cannot be considered as a complete Kalsarp Yoga, because now over here you can see that planets are not from Rahu and Ketu axis, they are from the Ketu to Rahu axis. So a lot many astrologers, they do not even consider this as the eligibility for the Kalsarp Yoga to be getting fulfilled. Now let's go to move to the next slide. Now, okay, so now over here, as you can see, now when you come across these kind of yogas, so some astrologers also say this thing, oh, you do not have a Kalsarp Yoga, you have a Anshik Kalsarp Yoga, you have a partial Kalsarp Yoga, because like someone who has even slightly little bit knowledge about astrology, he is going to debate and kind of give this thing that how can you say Kalsap yoga, because I've read in the books that it has to be in a condition that all the planets are in the axis of Rahu Ketu, but my one planet is outside of it. Then people say, no, 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 we are not saying it's a complete Kalsap yoga, it's a partial Kalsap yoga. So there's no such thing like that. The eligibility has to be like all the planets have to be in the excess of Rahu and Ketu. Even if moon, sun, or any one planet is outside of the excess of Rahu and Ketu, then you do not have to worry about that. Now comes the, okay, so nomenclature, mention, origin, roots, and classics. So very first thing, I completely stand by the fact which when we talk about Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan or anyone who has got a very structured learning of astrology, Vedic astrology, the way they say that no mention of Kalsarp in any classical books. Prestigious institutions like Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan don't acknowledge it. So does that mean that the efficacy, the impact, or the results of it do not exist? If you go by the classical books, there was no mention of that. There will be a day when there will be, social media. The knowledge is going to be spread through social media, artificial intelligence, robotics, chat GPT. So like the way era, time, and everything is getting evolved. So it was not mentioned there, but just because in today's modern day and age, the kind of impact and power and the clout, the influence which Rahu holds, in order to create a combination of Raj Yoga, sudden fame, suddenly going viral and all. So Rahu and Ketu are very strong. And if in some way your whole chart, your whole life is being controlled by them, what is the eligibility of that? We will soon discuss in next slides. They still hold this power. So if you will go by a close-minded way of looking at things, yes, we completely agree. There is no mention of it. But if you're open to reason, if you're open to interpretation, you're open to research, it has impact. We will discuss. Now comes the effects. The fear monger, we say this. Okay, what is the impact of Kalsarp Yoga? Life gets enslaved to planetary influences. Extreme highs and lows in life. Free will gets diminished. Some areas in life experience overabundance, whereas other areas get completely deprived of results. So, Anayata, we keep on coming across those kind of people, right? Like one way of looking at a very holistic way of living is that, okay, you should have a loving, healthy family life. You should have a good health. You should be shining in your career. But when we come across those people that, okay, their one area of their life is shining, but at the cost of other things, other compromises, other sacrifices, you are there to welcome the Kalsar person, because this is generally what happens.
Think that in fact does happen. Like you've seen this to be the result of.
Yes, sir. See, like a Kalsar guy wearing it from even drinking water from a silver glass. I'm telling you, yes, it definitely happens.
But you know what? Can I just say, when you're in Rahu Ketu Dasha, you experience that imbalance anyway. It's the nature of the nodes, right? Like, so you're suggesting that irrespective of the Dasha, the person is prone to such highs and lows throughout life.
Okay. For that, I need to take you to another. There are just two more slides only. Then I will tell you about. See, Anahita, when we talk about this combination, it is very important to know that in which alignments you can call it a Kalsarp yoga, and in which alignments you can call it a Kalsarp dosha. Because again, you would not believe, Anahita, like just because my passion and my interest in Vedic astrology, how many people I have shown my chart, not just to get the answer consultation, just to for the open discussion. It's like I'm kind of person, I don't mind putting my life and everything at stake just for my learning, just to satisfy my, curiosity and all. So the people who have actually pinpointedly made good prediction, good assessment on my chart. Like, okay, this happened a couple of weeks back only. There was this guy, I was coming out of from Bharati Vidya Bhavan, very senior guy. So he came to Bharati Vidya Bhavan just to get the certificate. He already had good knowledge from doing it from past, he's living astrology, past so many years. When he looked at my chart, what did he say? Nipoon, you don't have a Kalsarp dosha. You have a Kalsarp yoga. No matter what other people are saying, never ever get or do any remedy for Rahu and Ketu or Rahu. Because this is the planet who's going to give you the wealth, riches, fame, everything. Wherever you are, all that happened because of Rahu. And if you're gonna suppress it, ridicule it, mock it, you're just not acknowledging the gifts which the God has given to you.
Or be afraid of it. right? Because
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. So in this session, the most important thing which we will decode or we will understand, trust me, guys, for all the audience, if only you are able to take away from this session of Anahita that able to distinguish in a chart that whether it is a cause of yoga or dosha, trust me, you have gained a big knowledge, big learning today in this session.
great. I'm looking forward. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So the very first point, I'll just briefly elaborate the points. Life gets enslaved to planetary influences. Okay, what do I mean by that? So it simply means that what do you call that? That karmic kind of bondage. Kind of those kind of experiences where you like whether you talk about in positive sense, like when we are talking about yoga, where success came to you on a platter, like something which your soul has earned from the past so many lifetimes, that your ascension to success was very much predefined. Like the way we say that, okay, someone who's born in the family of Ambani, Mukesh Ambani. So he's born with a silver spoon. An actor who's born to a very famous director. He's born with this kind of privileges and all. So what I'm trying to say is that this is a positive case. In a negative case, when you come across Anahita, those kind of people, like someone who is very sharp, very precise with the details, and that guy got scammed. That guy got entrapped in something, and it was a phase or period of certain weeks or months. And when this guy came back to senses, he's not able to realize that was it me only who got scammed? I'm always so alert, always so cautious. What went to my head? What influence control was I in that I was not able to take decision, or I was being duped by some higher powers pulling the strings behind the scene. So this is kind of the typical story of people who are in the influence of Rahu and Ketu. Their success or their failures, their major kind of setbacks is something is being controlled by some third entity, third power, over where the free will is not sufficient enough to have any say. Second point, extreme highs and lows in life. So, like the way I mentioned this thing, when these people grow, their growth comes in a very stupendous way. And specifically, I've written this point in some other slide that generally people who are in the influence of Rahu and Ketu, ruled by Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, their success generally comes, the major peak of the success comes in the second half, like post 40. But once they rise, they shine, they are just in the top of the game. So yes, their life goes through extreme highs and lows, and that is the only reason. The lives of the politicians, the lives of the actors, celebrities, and all. So typical case of that. And yes, free will gets diminished. Now, the next point is, yeah. So generally, big breaks, success happens in second half of life, post 40s. Timing plays an integral role in their life. The thing is, Anaita, like in certain cases when when you are doing any prediction in the cases of including the seven planets, like, Sun, Moon, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, you are still open-ended with your assessment and all. But if you have this divine blessing, grace, that shafa, that siddhi with you, that you will be able to decode Rahu and Ketu, and with the notes you can be very precise that there are those psychics and astrologers that okay, in 2025 you will be at this point, and on that signal there will be this guy wearing this color clothes, and he will give you the guru mantra. So this is the power of Rahu and Ketu. So timing plays a very integral role in life. But see, the thing is, predictions on 8th house, on Rahu and Ketu, cannot be done only by the mathematical prowess. For that third power, what do you call that? Sixth sense, intuition, awaken chakras, kundalini. So those intuitive faculties need to be developed. Even if you have to, whether you have to do the assessment in your own life, or whether you have to do any prediction for someone. So let's say, for example, your chart is very karmic. So going to just a mathematical genius is not sufficient enough. You need a proper awakened, enlightened guy to guide you, because only he has that entity and energy and power to foresee things. That's sort of, power and thing. So yes, the big success happens in the second half of the life, post 40s. Timing plays an integral role in the life. Promise of good or evil becomes extremely difficult to evade. Yes, if Rahu and Ketu are strong, it becomes very difficult. Like the way there has been those things, where someone is born in a family and it is there marked that, okay, this child is born with a destiny that he will uplift the whole family. And they're like those cases, okay, this person is born with a yoga that he'll be responsible for the fall of the whole family. I guess, this happened in the case of the in Mahabharata. It has been mentioned, like, when the Kauravas are born and all. So it was predicted, that Rishi predicted for Duryodhan's chart, that, okay, you have 100, gonna have 100 kids and all, just sacrificing this kid is going to save all your other children. But just because they have so much love for that, they were not able to do that. So that sort of destiny, that sort of, prarabdh, which is very difficult to evade. So
Difficult to.
this is the power of the Rahu and Ketu is.
Yeah.
So like, it's like universe put all of its force to deliver the promise. So this is what the case is with Rahu and Ketu. Yeah, this slide I already explained, that whom to consult. An atheist, mathematical genius astrologer, no, he cannot guide you if you have a Kaal Sarp Yoga. A fortune teller with bhakti, devotion, and shafa, yes. You need to go to the right side. You cannot rely on, with having a strong Rahu and Ketu, any of the mathematical aspect is gonna surrender. Obviously, you need that, but for Rahu and Ketu, forces of 8th house, Rahu and Ketu, that is the only reason we call it the houses of unpredictability, uncertainty, and all, right? Had it been that easy to decode, why would the our saints and sages and rishis have attached the unpredictable aspect with them? Because it is difficult to see them with the calculation part.
Well, I think astrology, being an astrologer, is not you cannot even call yourself complete in your ability unless you have a spiritual practice, unless you have a devotional.
Definitely.
What does it mean, spiritual? Could be, it's devotional, basically, right? It's the idea that you have, like you rightfully said, not an atheist. So I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Okay, let's move forward. Okay, here comes me, my previous edited creatives. Okay, now over here, I need your input. So you have to point out, Anaita, which Nipoon is what do you call that, dosha, which Nipoon is yoga in these two charts. Okay, no, we'll discuss openly what makes me say that. When people say this thing, that, okay, when people say this, okay, Jawaharlal Nehru, people say that Sachin Tendulkar have got Kaal Sarp Yoga. Again, you have to decode that, okay, is it a yoga? Is it a dosha? Planets are in the axis of Rahu and Ketu. In which trend they are?
The first one's a dosh.
Which one?
One's a dosh, the moon and Ardra. This is a dosh.
Okay, no, okay, yeah, but yeah, just because for our audience, we will get into the little bit nitty gritty part. And one more thing, guys, when we talk about decoding the Kaal Sarp Yoga, Rahu and Ketu, your moon nakshatra becomes very, very important. Like, moon nakshatra will give you, like the way we say that in other aspects, we can say just the ascendant lord and all. But specifically in the Kaal Sarp Yoga cases and all, moon Janam Tara, we call it Janam Tara, becomes very important. Okay, so let's look at the chart number A first. Nipun Dosha chart first, then we'll see the Nipun Yoga chart on the right side. Okay, so okay, in this chart we can see that, okay, it's the Scorpio rising. We have Rahu placed in the first house. Okay, the very first thing is that to see is the eligibility is getting fulfilled or not. So we can see that Rahu is placed in the first house. Rahu is the head part of the serpent, and Ketu is the tail part. Ketu is there in the 7th house. Okay, and just because the head part has to start consuming all the planets, so that eligibility which we discussed in the previous slide is getting fulfilled. Now, point number 2. All the planets are in the axis of Rahu and Ketu, where the ascendant lord has gone. The dispositor of Rahu has gone. So dispositor of Rahu has gone to the 8th house. So we get to know that, okay, first of all, the health of the person could be a little bit vulnerable. Second thing, the person's nature could be secretive, little bit conniving, cannot be easily trusted. And the thing is that there are like those people who are researchful for their good, but there are like those people who are conniving to their own fault and causing harm to the society. And just
I want to just I want to just pause for a minute because I want to clarify something. You had mentioned this earlier. What I want to clarify is, basically, if I understand it correctly, obviously all planets have to be between Rahu and Ketu axis, right? You cannot have a planet with Rahu. Right? That's a different thing. And the other thing I want to clarify is the movement. Are you saying if it's moving it should be moving from Rahu to Ketu or Ketu to Rahu? the planets. Do you understand what?
Yeah, yeah. See, Anita, I'll tell you what, just because we are not here talking about what, because it's not there in the classes. It's like whatever I'm saying over here, one more thing, whatever I'm presenting in front of you, it's all my personal inputs. So I will not say this thing that after this session, I am the person to be held accountable for. So if you have to give credit or you have to give blame, I am all out there in front of you, because all of that is my own personal findings.
Oh,
And
well, that's but is there? I mean, it's a point of we can discuss, isn't it? Is there a distinction when we see the flow going from Ketu to Rahu? Because my understanding is that if the flow is going from Ketu to Rahu, it's a stronger Kaal Sarp, okay? And if the planets are going from Rahu to Ketu, traveling the other way, they're going. Every planet is going, moving towards Ketu. It's moving towards liberation. It's moving towards moksha. So that person is not interested in the material life. And if it's all moving to Rahu, it's an easier to deal with culture. I mean, this is kind of, from the readings that I've had and like discussions. So there's a distinction between, let's look at, and even in transit, you can see it even in transit, like where are the planets moving? So for example, in this, the first one, which is I think it's a dosh because of the dignity of the planet, but they are all moving from Ketu to Rahu, aren't they?
Towards Rahu, yeah. And we say this thing, right? It's like Rahu is the it's a circle of the time. It's the Kala. So it's like, the planets are moving towards the Kala.
Yeah.
So we say Shani, we say Rahu, so one and the same thing. But yeah, as you can see over here in this chart, so first of all, because the planets are in the axis of Rahu and Ketu, the moon Tara, it is also in the control, in the influence of Rahu. So the ascendant, the bodies in the influence of Rahu. The manas, the man is the mind, moon is in the influence of Rahu. It is there in the 8th house. Ascendant Lord is afflicted in that, and one more thing. Why culture in this chart will become difficult? Because this person is going to be, first of all, this person in the chart number A is going to be a victim of circumstances, victim of time. Point number 2, whatever evil things or bad things this person is prone towards, I can say we always have a free will for not doing bad things and all. Whatever this person will be prone towards doing, after that, because Saturn is in the 10th house, it is not going to spare him. See, this is what the cycle and the sensitive relation, like the way we say the relation between a thief and the cop, or a culprit and the judiciary is. Same is the relation between Rahu and the Saturn. Only if Rahu is working in a dignified way, oh my God, Saturn is there to reward you. But only if you're cutting corners, you're doing things that are very harmful for the society, then the punishment of the Saturn is also not very far. So in this chart, it is, and one more thing, the 10th Lord, if you will see, that is Sun, it is also afflicted. So okay, in the now, so you cannot generalize it. The concept yoga is good or bad or evil or this thing. We can see after looking at the chart number A, it is a very strong case of the impact and control grip of Rahu and Ketu, which is only going to be causing problem, turmoils, affliction, imprisonment, a lot of kind of, problems and worries in the life of this person.
And the planets are not supporting. That's the thing, isn't it? Like the sun is debilitated, Venus is debilitated, Saturn is right.
And see, the thing is, one more thing. It's not only that the Venus is debilitated, it's the dispositor of Ketu debilitated. The Mars is afflicted, dispositor of Rahu afflicted. So yeah, the whole chart is like that. Saturn is in the 10th house, it's gonna punish him. 10th Lord is there. So see, again, one more thing. Those people who end up doing extraordinary things, Anahita, this is what I have observed. People who end up doing extraordinary good things, their chart has got promise from all directions. And people we see for doing stupid criminal things, they are in the news and all, they will also have these kind of yogas of affliction, of criminal tendencies, which is pointing from all the directions. And the thing is, I became like a scientist. This chart number 8 is, I was doing the planting on my own. I was sitting in this cafe. I said, okay, let's put, what could be the worst example of the Kaal Sarp Dosha? Okay, let's put this planet here. Let's put this planet here. I became like, okay, the Mercury and Venus cannot go very far from the sun. Okay, let's place them here. So I did the whole invention like this. So yeah, so this is the chart number 8. Now let's come to the chart number B. So the moon in Satabhishak. Okay, so please do not say if you know this chart. So, so this chart don't say anything. Okay, so if you will look at the chart number B, so very first thing is that Rahu is there in the first house, and we have Ketu there in the seventh house. So the very first thing is that all we have to first see the eligibility getting fulfilled or not. So we can see that okay, definitely all the planets are in the excess of the Rahu and Ketu. Eligibility is getting fulfilled. Point number two, that eligibility is getting more potent and more powerful because moon, the Janam Tara is in the Sadbisha. It's in the nakshatra of the Rahu. So that
even if it was if the moon was in the nakshatra of Ketu, it would be just.
yes, yes. Then also. See, if you are just talking about the grip of the karmic axis, the karmic knot, the grip over your life, it is going to be the same. Had in this case, the moon is going to be in the ninth house and in the Mula Nakshatra, then I would have said the same thing. Again, see, Anayaka, again, it's not there anywhere. It's my own personal inputs. I might be wrong. So the thing is, after this session, you have one person to held accountable, whether for the critics, for good or bad. I'm taking complete accountability. That's fine.
That would be an added factor if the moon is sitting in the nakshatra of Rahu Ketu. It
Yes,
makes
yes.
an added factor, and in fact, it would even get stronger if Rahu and Ketu themselves are sitting in their own nakshatras, right?
You got it. I made in the slide. In the next slide, I made the points. Yes, you headed the right way. Very good. Very good. Okay. So, like the way, if you can see the point, the chart number B. So we can see that, okay, the dispositor of Rahu. We have to first see dispositor of Rahu. It is strong. It is there in the 8th house, but it's placed in its own territory. Dispositor of Ketu. It is there in the benefic influence over there. 10th Lord. If you see the 10th house, Sun in itself being placed individually in this 10th house is responsible for giving the fame. And again, one more thing, see, and I have to understand this thing. In the previous slides, I mentioned this thing that people who have the Kaal Sarp yoga with all the potent eligibilities getting fulfilled, they live the life in the extreme highs and low. And you see in this chart, when we talk about 11th house of sudden success, 8th house of sudden opportunity, 10th house of recognition. So this chart has got potential of all of that. And let's say, for example, with this chart, if this person is going to be designing his life in a field, like if you are in media, if you're in politics, like all those fields where the chances of sudden success is there. You see, because the thing is, astrology cannot help for you if you have by yourself not designed your life accordingly. If you're working as an accountant, and you every day you see the transit and expect something to happen, what is going to happen? Your boss is not gonna make the name the company in your name, right? In the good dasha, you will just get a certain raise of 5%, 10%. So important is that in the chart number B, if a person is going to be designing his life in a field where there is a chance of sudden speculative gain, success, fame, recognition, so this chart is very much eligible and it will respond well to these kind of dashas and transit. And the chart number A, let's say for example, in the chart number A case, with his own karma, the person is involved in questionable things, despicable things, all things which are criminal, underhanded, then he's headed, we know what is going to be the end of in the chart number A and the chart number B. Any inputs on this, Naika?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you have to have the predisposition towards those things, those acts, right? And this is why again I go back to this. I mean, I emphasize with people if they're going through difficult times, you have to take to some kind of a practice, and you have to be disciplined. Change your habits. Try something different. And it just comes from the mindset, right? The third house, the subconscious. And then it goes to the 6th house, which is the habits. And then it carries over, to the upachaya, all the upachaya, and then the 10th house and the 11th house, right? 10th house is being out there, making your efforts, doing the karma, and then 11th house is gain. So it's all connected. Like if we're not doing, if we're just stuck at that one place, well, make a shift. And you have to make 1 or 2 small shifts in your daily life. That's all, right? And then, of course, adding a spiritual practice is a part of that shift, right? It can be changing your small habits, what you eat, who you talk to, how much time you spend on gossip, social media, Do you sleep well? When do you wake up? Do you make the best of the day? Like these are such obvious things that we are taught when we're very, very young, and we, lose sight of them. But if we just tweak certain things in our life or add a spiritual practice, 20 minutes a day, 25 minutes a day. And like some people say to me, oh, I meditate for an hour. You don't have to do anything for an hour. You just have to do 15 minutes to get some kind of so if you just try to yeah, we are born with all of this. We're all of us are somewhat vulnerable, to where we're born, our parents, whatever it is. But if we just make small shifts, the problem is that we just get hung up on the big goals, like that are like way in the distance, right? But we have to understand that's step 10. That is step 10, that goal.
That's speaking before, yeah.
Step 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the boring stuff. This 1, 2, 3, 4 is the boring stuff. It's the difficult, mundane stuff. Nobody wants to do it. I mean, nobody, but that is how are you going to get to number 10? Now, with the Kaal Sarp Yoga, if you have you just have to be at the right place, right time. You will get from two.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That's what I wanted to say.
How will you maintain it? How will you maintain it? You have to have some, that's about
groundwork. Some groundwork you would have done.
Some grounding. Yeah. Yeah.
So the thing is, the biggest takeaway of this slide is that, Anahita, biggest challenge is to figure out whether it's a yoga, blessings power, or dosha, affliction blockages in the chart. If you can do this, trust me, you are headed the right way in your expertise in astrology. Okay, so over here. So the way I mentioned this thing, if we will go by the nomenclature and the terminology, so definitely it represents a karmic life.
For those who have not figured out, that's Nipoon's chart. Okay,
okay.
The second one with all the planets in the 11th house.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, so nomenclature, karmic life. So no mention of Kaal Sarp in any classical books. We know, yes. As per me, when it becomes strong, and the thing is, you're so intelligent, and I thought a couple of the points you already figured out. So I made a summary of what we have discussed so far. So let's look at here. Wait. So point number 1 is when Rahu and Ketu are sitting in each other's nakshatra. So like the way, for example, in this chart, you said in my case, Rahu is in my chart because now everyone knows it's my chart. So yeah, okay. So my Rahu is placed very close to my ascendant degrees. Moon is there in the nakshatra of Rahu. Rahu is placed in the Ashwini nakshatra, in the nakshatra of the Ketu. Ketu is placed in the nakshatra of Rahu, which is Swati, and all the planets are in the excess of it. So yes, nakshatra is the triggering factor. So if you have all the planets are in the excess of Rahu and Ketu, where Rahu and Ketu are placed in each other's nakshatra, like Rahu is in the Gemini, it's in the, I'm so sorry. Yeah, so yeah, in any sort of combination, if they are there, then we can say this thing that yes, there is a strong possibility. No, in the Gemini, Rahu is going to be in the Ardhara in its own nakshatra. I mean to say in each other's nakshatra, most likely, because then the grip is much more stronger. The point number 2 is Sun, Moon, or ascendant lord is conjunct Rahu or Ketu. Yeah, over here as well. See, right, there is a point which you raised in one of the previous slide that, hey, Nipoon, what if any planet is conjunct with Rahu, Ketu? Like they are not inside the axis. One planet is conjunct with them. So yeah, that also, as per my inputs, the energy of the Kaal Sarp is going to be intense, equally potent, powerful to make your life vulnerable towards highs and lows. And specifically, it's not about like Mars, Jupiter. Yeah, but Mars, if it is ascendant lord, then it's a different case. So yes, Sun, Moon, or ascendant lord, if they are conjunct with either Rahu or Ketu in this axis, then also the karmic knot becomes strong. Yeah. Point number 3, Moon is sitting in either of the Rahu or Ketu's nakshatra. Like the way in the previous 2 example charts which I showed, like in one chart, Moon was in the Janam Tara, Moon was in the Ardhara. In the chart number 2, Moon was in the Satabhisha. Now this could be Moon in the Ashwini, in the Magha, in the Mula, in the Swati. But yes, then it is going to be giving more and more power to Rahu and Ketu. After that, Rahu Ketu axis involves 8th or 12th house with many planets placed over there. So definitely, see, all what we know about so far what we have studied is that, okay, this is one such combination which takes away the control or power from your life and give it to the universe and the unknown things, unknown entities, uncertainty, unpredictability tend to remain strong in your life. And over and above that, all of those eligibilities getting fulfilled. And this axis is getting formed in such a way that major planets are in the eighth house. Then the life will become much more karmic. So then, for these kind of people, Anahita, I'll tell you, believing in manifestation, believing in contentment, believing in living life now becomes very important because they do not have any control. And one more thing, okay, I'll tell you, when I mentioned you about my podcasting venture and all, when I came back from Canada, ideally I'm vacationing right now in India. When I came back, I had this thing as my to-do list. One such point was that, in India, in the Hindi genre, like the podcasting thing is like everyone is going crazy about it. I do not know what people like about it. It's like the way we are talking. If you want information, everything is same, right? But people want that setup. So I
Yeah.
was like, I had this thing in my mind. Okay, everyone is consuming data like that, information like that. It will be good that if I will be invited in one of the podcasting channel as a guest. So that was my to-do list. That was my expectation. And I kept on, I will not lie. I don't have any inhibition in saying this thing, admitting this thing, that I did not hear back from any of those podcasting channel.
Yeah.
But the day Saturn turned retrograde, he has some other thing planned for me. Like, no, my son, you will not go as a guest. You will start on your own podcasting venture and people will be coming to you. So when you have these kind of, access and yogas in your chart, you have to be contented. You might be rooting for a Toyota and universe has Mercedes or Range Rover or other private jet for you. And trust me, these are those people whose lives goes with so many extreme highs and lows, who manifest. So if you have these kind of combinations, so contentment is the key. So if you are a guide, you are an astrologer, and you are catering to a client who is, beating his chest, crying, oh, things are not working out, I want this, I want that. The lesson of contentment, lesson of be here now becomes very important because you do not have any control. Things will not work as per your liking. So giving away control is what Rahu Ketu axis is all about. Giving power to the universe, giving power to your devatas and the gods, like in my case, Lord Shiva. And trust me, I gave up. I was like, okay, and they said, what, no one wants to invite me, it's fine. And the thing is, and like I started my own channel, and now the whole astrology lobby community, my friends are after me. Nipoon, please invite me, Nipoon, please invite me. Like, okay, what happened in a week's time? I was the one who was on that side of the line. Now I'm on other side of the line. So this is what the power of Rahu and Ketus. Never ever underestimate them. So yes, this is about this slide. Anything you want to add on this slide, Anahita? This is the crux of my understanding.
No, I think this is good. I think it's important to understand that in and of itself, yes, we have to see the degrees of it, right? Like all of these factors make it very potent, right?
Yes.
Potent. And we also have to remember that when you're going through the dasha, it activates it even more. Or there could be a transit. Like when you
Oh,
just
yes.
had a Rahu return, right? Like you just
Yes. Yes.
so that's very much gonna you're gonna really very much feel that energy at those.
Yes. So yeah, all that. Oh my God. I seriously, I forgot to make a slide on that, but that's very true. Whatever I have explained over here, it's the eligibility, but the activation and the timing is the key. Which you are right that when you will be having Rahu Ketu return, when you're going to have and the thing is, astrology works like that when two things coincide. So imagine you're having Rahu Ketu return, you have a Kaal, you have a Rahu Ketu return, and the Rahu Desha also started at the same time. Okay, then it's going to be triggering factor. And if it is a yoga, you will be in the peak, and over your success is going to be overnight. And if you have a dosha, then your fall is going to be overnight. So this is how it is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to the next slide. So yeah, it's like we have read a lot about it. Rahu Ketu axis. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Rahu Ketu axis. So yeah, what do we understand from the Rahu Ketu axis? So extract of past lives undertakings. So unfulfilled desires, acquired expertise, accentuated senses, and your vision for the life. Like it's like all the Rahu Ketu. Rahu is about ambition. Ketu is about the past life prowess, expertise, and all. The way why I like Praj Trivedi's work and all. the way he has described, there's like one line I remember, it stayed with me in one of the, I don't know which chapter, when he was explaining about Ketu, one such yoga, and he mentioned that, the vengeance part of the Ketu is so strong, even it has to take birth after birth.
Yeah.
Ketu will never forget you. Like Rahu can still forgive you.
Yeah.
Ketu will. I still remember there was this in Mahabharat. There was this chapter of the Shikhandi, Amba. When she takes the rebirth, she wanted to get the revenge from Bhishma. And she just does the, like, she went to Parshuramji. She went to so many sages. Everyone did not give her the justice, deliver the justice, and eventually at the end she was left with, like, the one who is not being looked after anyone, all being taken care by Lord Shiva, Shivji. He is so easy to please. So when she started, like doing the tapasya to please the Lord Shiva, and he got happy, and then he says that, okay, your wish will get fulfilled, but not in this life, in the next life. And the way it has been showed, it's like she committed suicide. It's like she was so much burning with the vengeance that, okay, if the destiny is that the revenge is going to be getting fulfilled in the next life, I will not wait this life to get completed. So Ketu's vengeance is
Yeah, yeah.
very strong. Ketu never forgets.
That's why it's called, it's crazy. There's a crazy, it's not crazy, it's obsessive, because it's Scorpio, right? And it's just, and Ketu can get stuck. Rahu, at least Rahu, because Rahu's always experiencing, oh, okay, it didn't work out here. Yeah, I'll do this, but you know what? I'm on to the next thing. I'm on to the next thing. But Ketu's like, no, no. This is this.
I know, Anita.
I'm not gonna forget this. I'm not gonna forget this. And I'm gonna make calculations and I'm gonna have it in my, I'm gonna wait for that moment. That's a Scorpio thing. Yeah, of course.
And the thing is, Anaida, I'm so grateful to you. Even you mentioned and pointed out this thing in my chart as well. Like, my chart, which we saw, like Aries Lagna. I never looked at it from that way, that you said that, Nipoon, it's not only Rahu and Ketu is strong, that Rahu in the ascendant degree, Moon in the nakshatra, and all these combination. Even like, Rahu co-rules the Aquarius. You have 4 or 5 planets in the Aquarius. Ketu co-rules Scorpio. You have ascendant Lord in Scorpio. Like, oh my God, I never looked at it from that. So again, so, okay, do not go by the nomenclature. Okay, let's not call it Khalsa. Call it Nagmani Yoga. Important is the effect. See, when a client comes to you, whether he's suffering or he's benefiting, the labeling and the name does not bother that person. He want to understand and the thing is, when we label certain things, no, it becomes easy to understand it in a quick comprehension way. So immediately, if I say Gaj Kesari Yoga, so we immediately get impression. I do not have to go into the detail. This will happen that, oh, Gaj Kesari, oh, the moon is in the Jupiter influence, positivity, optimism.
And
So
it
again,
doesn't mean that it depends on how well Jupiter's working for you, right? Like,
yeah,
the name itself suggests it's such a beautiful, like, like all these riches will come your, like, obviously.
yes. So
So
you don't have to get struck by the
yeah, we cannot get stuck on the labels.
labels, yes. So the second point is exceptional latent talents. So if you have a Kalsarp yoga, there is some sort of hidden talents you might have. Again, I'm not mentioning dosha. I'm talking about yoga. If you have a strong Kalsarp yoga, all what needed is to extract those things which are lying dormant in your personality. Unusuality, definitely welcome Rahu Ketu. Unexplained blockages, denials, rejections, eccentricities, and idiosyncrasies. And one more thing, Anita, that's what happens. Okay, all these things which we say, manifestation, law of attraction, and all. Okay, I also believe in all of that. But again, when you have like some people who come to you with this kind of baggage, counseling is very important. Like for Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, more than anything, counseling becomes very important. Imagine you have the influence of Rahu, Ketu, the so-called Kalsapa, influencing the house of marriage. And that person might have other successful combination in career, in charity, in recognition, in writing, in poetry. And that person is beating himself or herself down only. Why not getting married? Why not getting married? So like certain areas, you need to counsel the person, okay, your blessing, your latent talents, your extraordinary success is in some other department. And being an astrologer, my job is just to guide you. I cannot just change your destiny. And Rahu Ketu will not let, I told you that the grip of the time and the karma is strong over you. So counseling, contentment, be here now, devotion, surrender is the key for the Rahu Ketu. You
Surrender. Yeah.
cannot fight with your destiny because you cannot evade them.
No.
Okay. So yeah, after that, it's a lot many of our community will be knowing about it. So let's just revise it. How to judge? Okay, yeah, this is something wrong with the, I don't know, letters, or it's like a fudge. No, it's judge. It's judge. It's judge. It's not fudge. Okay. How to judge Rahu Ketu axis? So the house where it is placed will tell definitely. The houses involved will tell about where the results will be generated.
Where you get obsessed with like always, right? You're always like focusing on those houses. Like there's an
Yes.
obsession. Like it's not never good enough. The result is never good enough. You're just seeking, 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 redoing over and over again that thing. I've noticed
But
that.
you know, yeah, that's what Rahu Ketu is about, right? Rahu is about getting obsessed. Ketu is about getting detached, not finding any answer.
Yeah.
So yes, houses is where the results will be generated. Sign is about for the dignity. Definitely, we say that okay, Rahu does good in the Mercury signs, Ketu does good in the Jupiterian signs, and there has been latest study in the Bharati Vidya Bhavan as well. So where they say that okay, Rahu can also give good results in the fire sign, in the Aries as well. So it's like yeah, there's a lot people are studying, and we are open towards a suggestion from the community members. They can write it in the comment section, whatever they find, they feel. Nakshatra becomes very, very important because that tells about the intent. With intent, a planet is working. So I would say that for because if you have to get into the depth of decoding Rahu and Ketu, I guess their nakshatra becomes very important. Okay, their eccentricity, their unusuality is working on which plane, in which dimension. So for Rahu Ketu, nakshatra becomes very important because then you'll get to know the intent. Okay, for my case in example, people look at the Rahu and oh my God, you will be self-centered, you will be going this, or okay, you could be successful, you might have a fame and all, but Rahu is there in the Ashwani. You will get the fame, but whenever you will be doing something which is connected to healing, not with other things. So again, so intent becomes very important. Okay, dispositor. Definitely, a dispositor will tell you about the strength of the Rahu in Ketu. So if you have Rahu in the Aries and the Lord Mars is Scorpio, is Capricorn, then we can say that, okay, yes, this axis is strong.
Yeah.
After yeah, now comes our favorite. Kaal Sarp in all houses. Again, see, Anahita over here. It's like I just want to. I was in a cafe as they're preparing slides. Okay, you set the bar so high, Anahita. Trust me, I have done the Zoom session with other people. I have never done this much work. It's like yes, when you came to my channel, you came with so much preparation. I was like, damn, I need to return the favor. I need to do the same hard work. You are making me work hard. I never do this much hard work. Okay. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, one more thing, Anahita, okay, I am not going again because the whole nomenclature, the labeling is in any case doubted, disputed question. So I'm not going much into the depth of it because yeah, if you'll go by the in the websites and all, you will find that the different name of the Sarpas, like they have written that okay, first house Rahu, seventh house Ketu, it's Anant Kaal Sarp. It's this axis is Vasuki. This is Shankpal. So this because its whole existence is being questioned and all. So I did not put the names to it. Although just I put for one or two just to give you the idea of it. But in rest, I have not put any name on it now. And when we talk about the result, okay. So again, it's not that rocket science. All what I have done is that if you have Rahu Ketu axis, all the planets are in its axis, kind of forming a Kalsar Yuga. So that simply means that Rahu and Ketu are very potent, very powerful. They are the ones who will be calling the shots, will be pulling the strings. So just imagine it in this way that, okay, in this first house, Rahu is extremely powerful. Seventh house, Ketu is extremely powerful. What exactly can they generate? It's as simple as that. And point number two is that, again, in this whole discussion, you have to take two things simultaneously, yoga and dosha.
Yeah.
It's like a Rahu Ketu are like double-edged sword. If utilized well, that's what we say. Rahu can make you a successful politician, genius scientist, or people who have psychological issue. They are all the time taking counseling, therapy, psychological problems. They are also the strong Rahu examples. All what matters is how you're using your creativity to build something, or using your creativity to create own fears. Oh, this will happen, that will happen, this will harm me. So again, so this is Rahu Ketu. So while discussing the Kaal Sarp Yuga, yoga or dosha needs to be taken in the mind at the same time. So okay, so if you have the first house Rahu and seventh house Ketu axis, left side is, let's say for example, the dosha. Right side over here is the yoga. So potential for granting windfall financial gains beyond doubt. And this is how it has been written in lot many ways, that overnight windfall gain and success is something, if this excess of Rahu Ketu is there, it has got the potential to grant the native. Point number two, global fame. Rahu is a cosmopolitan planet. Rahu wants attention. Rahu wants to be in everyone's limelight and all. Foreign connection, foreign attention, camera, media, clicks, everything is Rahu. So global fame. Point number three, cosmopolitan lifestyle. So this is not going to be a person who's going to be getting struck with a traditional, orthodox kind of lifestyle and boundaries and all. Point number four, the person could be pioneer and attuned to the global trends. Now, if you will look at the flaw side of it, that the person is going to have the dosha in this axis, first and the seventh. So destabilized life, because Rahu in the first house is going to be creating a havoc. It will not get, because first house is in a way your complete life, right? First house is not only your health, your face, your head, your character, habit, personality. First house is your complete life. So the whole life is going to be destabilized. Yeah, my pronunciation, I'm sorry, megalomaniac. So things that they are much more important and powerful than they really are. So this is a typical case of that. The person is going to have a Kaal, Sarp, Dosha, not yoga, in the first and the seventh axis. Let's go to the second. So if you have the second house, Anahita, you're getting excited that you know someone who's got any one axis and you're waiting for results. I can see the excitement.
I know, as people who have all of, ever since I think I told you this already. Ever since my Rahu Dasha started, you know what? I was like, isn't it interesting? These people that I've been meeting, I mean, a social circle, professional circle, how come all of them, how come they all have one thing in common? They all have a Rahu this Kaal Sarp going on. When I remember having this discussion with you, yeah, you're like, yeah, because you're in Rahu Dasha. Yeah, that makes sense.
And same is the case with me. I'm in this Shani Dasha, Saturn Dasha, and like I have already done 8 episodes of my podcast. And majority of the guests who have come and we have discussed astrology with them, yeah, they're like Capricorn, Aquarius, or the Saturnian. Yeah. So okay. So
to you in some way, right? Senior to you in some way. And I've seen that, like that happens because you become you embody the energy of what that dasha that you're going through, and then attract that thing. It's very interesting to see that.
Attract those energy people. Attract those energies people in your life.
Yeah, and I don't have Kaal Sarp in my chart, but like somehow, like I suppose I have a quite strong Rahu, and I've noticed that I was just like, wow, it's so interesting. It happens a lot. People that have come into my life, and if they don't have the Kaal Sarp yoga, they have something prominent in where my Rahu Ketu is. Like you're attracting that because you're embodying it.
And I remember in my this Bharti Vidya 1 in the Vastu class, there's one guy. So he's Aquarius rising with Saturn and Moon in the first house, and he see Aquarius Lagna, Saturn Moon in the first house, and he's also in the Saturn Dasha as well. And he's like all the time complaining, why I attract all the depressive, sad people, man. This is what your destiny is, bro. And you're trying to learn astrology. So astrology is the business of counseling, healing the sad people, right? It's like he look at me, man, you're all the time smiling. I see your Insta stories and you're like all the time chilling with people, happy people. Why I'm surrounded by the depressive, negative people who are on suicide watch and all. Like, this is what the yoga and the dasha you are in. So you will attract those people. So, and I see for the Aquarius, it's not only that he has got a wish yoga like Saturn, Moon in the first house. The Moon is also the sixth lord, right? So these kind of people will be surrounding him all the time. Okay, so let's go to the second house Rahu and the eighth house Ketu axis. So okay, again in this same thing, the yoga, if it is a yoga in the right side, so potential for financial gains. Now, this could be through questionable means. It is like Rahu in the second house. If it is potent, it is open to lot many possibilities. But it will make you wealthy. It will make you smart enough for your own advantage. Potential for commendable accomplishments in the fields of research and occult. Because if Rahu is in the second, Ketu is in the eighth house, will become very strong. In the left side, if it is a dosha, strong karma to be encountered in balancing self and partners, family, and their wealth. Second house is your wealth, eighth house is your partner's wealth. So over there, if it is a dosha, it is going to be creating this problem. And yes, secrecy. There will be some secrets, dark secrets in the family lineage and all for sure.
Mm.
Let's go to the third house round and ninth house Ketu axis. So if it is a yoga, so courage, the person is going to be courageous and resourceful. You know, when I see, like, for example, there are like those people who are like very talented, artistic and all, but they're like those people who are very good in capitalizing their talent and building into a successful, model, business model and all. So those are like typical Rahu in the third house or Rahu in the 11th house. And trust me, if it is a Kalsap yoga, all the planets are dignified, accentuated. Oh, this guy is a born entrepreneur. He will build up businesses after businesses. So yes, this person is very courageous. He is resourceful. Um, Capacity to be a trendsetter, capacity to be a pioneer, excellent in picking up skills. And again, we cannot forget that that puts Ketu in the ninth house. So the native is going to be blessed by the omens. Now you call it anything. That this could be the guardian angels, the departed ancestors, Kul Devata, Ishta Devata, but blessed by the omens. You know, whenever you smile, I know another you have someone you know who have this access. I mean, I can read in your face. I can read in your face. Okay, you are doing that manual calculation. Oh, I know this guy, gentleman.
That's right. That's right. Check, check, check.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And onto the left side, if it is a dosha. So the person is going to be very mentally stimulated. So mentally stimulated means that this could be overthinking.
Yeah.
This could be that the person is very restless, cannot stick to one thing, jack of all trades and all. This is one such combination where native is going to have very questionable company. The company he will keep. The person is going to be very restless as well, jack of all trades. And yeah, Ketu in the ninth will make the person superstitious as well.
Mm.
Now, when we talk about, let's say you have fourth house Rahu and the 10th house Ketu axis. So if it is a yoga, so successful or pioneer in unusual professions. The person is definitely going to be diplomatic. The person has this potential of that the person can amass, he can gather people for causes. There's some cause you stand by and could become a symbol of some cause or a movement. But again, you know, the worst part of this is that now I will tell you. Because see, if it is a Kalsar dosha with fourth house Rahu and 10th house Ketu, and like the way on the left side, secretive, toxic emotions, manipulative or narcissist or a gaslighter. You know, Anahita, there's a like I did a research, a lot many things I do not put it on the YouTube. Like the way, you know, when we come across those people, like, you know, those screwed up people that you have those ulterior intention towards a girl, towards a female. Okay, you never revealed it, and the girl thinks of you as a friend, and you took her to a party, you spiked her drink, you took advantage of something. So these are like those screwed up people with this kind of combination. Because Rahu in the fourth makes your emotions toxic. But again, see, do not take it personal. Whomsoever is going to have this yoga, again, if it is a combination of a dosha. So, and specifically, see, again, the way I mentioned, if something is pointing in one direction, the promise will come from multiple direction. Now, this could be one person. He might have a fourth house, Rahu and Venus as well, and Rahu is afflicted, Venus is afflicted, then we can say, and it is a dosha, then we can say, okay, this person is secretive, his emotions could be toxic, the person could be manipulative, and the career could be unstable. Balancing extreme ends in career versus domestic life. So, yes, we will do some another video, and I thought on the Rahu Ketu conjunction as well. I have a lot to do inputs as well, or provide the material on that as well. But as if now, this is one such kind of combination where Rahu is unusually strong and has got a potential to cause havoc or to give success, but yes, it is going to be extreme. Fifth house Rahu and 11th house Ketu axis. On to the right, if it is a definitely if it is a yoga, native is going to be creative. Native is going to have it's a good combination for freelancers, self-employed. Native is going to be genius. Okay, genius is one word which is like always attached with Rahu. We say that okay, Mercury is intelligent, Rahu is genius. So supporting the it's yeah. One more thing, when you have Rahu in the fifth house, Ketu in the 11th, it is one such combination where it's very supportive for the manifestation, for the law of attraction, and speculative gains. Like, if the overall chart is like very constructive, very favorable, supporting dashas and all, these are among those people, they will put their heart and soul in manifesting things, and they manifest. They put their, now this could be through the positivity, creating that aura energy around them through rituals, through devotion towards bhakti, but it's a good combination for manifestation. Now, if it is a dosha, complications in the matters of progeny. See, in the Lal Kitab, there's been a lot been written for the Saturn in the fifth house, Rahu in the fifth house. What has been written that, it's like a serpent which eats away the eggs of its own child, like progeny. It's like, I will not go into that language. And one more thing for the audience, do not get scared. Any bad or good thing to fulfill, there's a lot of combination, plus minus, do's and don'ts. So don't take it on face value and all. But yeah, it's a little bit complication in the matters of progeny if afflicted, if a dosha. Potential of being radicalized. Ketu in the 11th house, you might get those kind of groups and activities, those kind of Nazi groups and also, right, potential of being radicalized. And again, nothing happens on its own, right? You will not be radicalized in the 11th house because of the Ketu people. Because in the 5th house, your mind is also, disturbed. Because of that, you will attract and be attracted towards those people. Giving up, yeah. And one more thing which has been seen with this kind of combination, giving up possessions voluntarily or no pleasure attached to success. Because Rahu in the mind, understand this thing, the major threat of Rahu is over the mind. So the thing is, the natives mind is, the thought process is kind of afflicted, uncertain, unpredictable, discontentment. There is no hard and fast rule. There might be those people who are driving in Mercedes unhappy, and someone driving a rickshaw, two-wheeler, and very happy, very contented. So Rahu in the fifth house creates a question mark in your definition of happiness. Fourth house is your emotions. Fifth house is the house of happiness and the thought process. So yes, this is what the now coming to the sixth house Rahu and the 12th house Ketu axis. If it is a yoga on the right side, native will be very competitive beyond any doubt. Capacity to inspire through the hardship and the struggle. And trust me, this is one such combination where native is going to be supported by the humans and natural forces. If it is a dosha, strong and unknown enemies, health vulnerabilities. Now, when we come to the seventh house, Rahu and the first house Ketu axis. If it is a yoga on the right side, intuitive within and opportunistic outside. So it is because first house Ketu will definitely make you very intuitive, and seventh house Rahu will make you very opportunistic. But again, the flaw side of it, like as per my understanding, I might be wrong. As per my finding inputs and all, I will see that in this axis, the affliction poses a more threat. Like there is a tendency, vulnerability of promiscuity, lost identity crisis, victim of circumstances, vulnerable to nature, self-loathing, walking around with guilt, like those kind of people. I was listening to one of the recording of the Osho. Like there are those people, they're so engrossed in their mind that even sometimes they're jerking their head because there's a fight going on in their mind. Because Osho talks a lot about the psychology and all of that, right? And the way he talks, they're like those people who are walking around with the battle in their own mind and they're moving their head jerking like that. So yeah, so walking around with guilt.
There are many people that fit under that
Yes.
perspective of Kaal Sarp, like I think this is what we talk about mental health, and it's become really like a issue.
Very important.
Widespread issue, isn't it?
Yes. Okay, let's moving ahead. Now comes a very sensitive kind of alignment.
Yeah.
8th house Rahu and 2nd house Ketu axis. So yeah, if it is a yoga in the right side, transformative life, innate interest in the dark things, capacity to sense imminent dangers, threats, gift of clairvoyance, craving for adventure, fluctuating finances, capacity of doing psychological control or manipulation. See, the good thing about the 8th house Rahu is that when we talk about, again, and people like big politicians, like even in India, like all those kathavachak, like you'll be surprised when you see the footages of all in some of their organized events, people in millions of the count come just to listen to their preaching, katha vachak and all. Again, those who are positive, constructive, and truly holy and spiritual people, they see, eighth house is the house of psychological control. So it has the potential to, conjure, hypnotically attract and charm the masses. Masses. I'm not talking about one or two people. I'm talking about the masses. Rahu also represents social media. So the thing is, positive or negative, again, it all comes down to how good of an astrologer you are. In which category you will put that yoga if it will come in front of you. It is a yoga or it is a dosha. Is it a blessing or is it a curse? So yes, your capacity of doing psychological control or manipulation. And the last point is researchful and scientific. On to the left if it is a dosha. So deplorable desires. So it's, I don't know where I find this hard word. So I might be when I was preparing for the IELTS exam for my English vocabulary. So yeah, it's like their desires are like very, very low, very shallow. Traumatic childhood, because yeah, that puts Ketu in the second house. So this axis is sensitive for people who are going to have, like, if you have a baby is born in a family with this kind of access, the formative years of the childhood becomes very important. You have to give heightened attention and care. Parenting becomes very responsible. Parenting is needed. Negativity sponge. So now negativity sponge means that they are going to be walking around absorbing energy of the people around them. So what environment they expose themselves to becomes very important. Capacity to take values to the extreme. Yeah, see, this is what they're like. They are potential tendency to be radicalized and going to the extremes and all. This is what's one such combination. Ninth house Rahu, third house Ketu axis, forming a Kalsar. So if it is a yoga on the right, very strong placement in case of forming a Kalsar yoga. Now, why I mention this thing, that because not many modern astrologers, like if you will go by the work of like Prash Trivedi and all, they have not completely ridiculed Rahu in the ninth house, because in the traditional books, the classics and all, it has been written because Rahu is like a Chandal. You put Rahu in the ninth house, the house of the Guru and the Dharma, it is going to afflict your the luck and all. But no, if Rahu is well placed, if it is a Kalsar yoga, it has the potential to, give you many chances to, create a favorable destiny. So yeah, Rahu here will put its whole force for creating a favorable destiny in making.
I think
Extreme.
Jupiter, we have to see where's Jupiter in the chart, right? Is
See, but again, yeah, but see, but dear, and I think that's what we're discussing. That if Rahu and Ketu are in a Kalsa combination, what it means that they have the power to control all the seven planets. That's what making this discussion unique. That they are somehow subjugating, controlling the whole chart, whole destiny, seven planets. So yeah, that's what they say. They're controlling everything. And if it is a yoga, important is it is a yoga. And
yeah.
in the left, if it is a dosha, so headstrong nature for sure, relying on lucky breaks and misled by teachers. So yeah, okay, and I'll tell you what. See, this thing, there are like certain dialogues in the movie which sticks with you. So what happened? I was just watching this very famous movie. It won awards as well, nominated for Oscars and all. And it was recreated on the real life incident which happened, I guess, in Boston or where was in the in again, I don't want to get into controversy. It's like it's some religious institution. Over there, the religious head was exploiting the teenagers and all. So when the whole scam got unfolded, that the journalist, reporter who was doing a story, when he chased that guy who had now become a grown person, and he was interviewing him that, okay, you were like sexually exploited and all as a teenager. You how much you want the justice, how much kind of vengeance you hold for that guilty person. He says, you do not understand. It's not only about giving me traumatic childhood experience or not. It's about he robbed me of my faith. Like when we go through hard time, difficult times, we go to temple, we go to church, we go to mosque to find that that there is some higher entity and there's some goodness in the world. I will be led. It's like you don't understand. He robbed me of my faith. That's what it's not about being assaulted when I was in those years and all. It's about being robbed of my faith, and that touched me. That line touched me. So yeah. So that's the worst part about this excess. If it is a Kalsap dosha, being misled by your teachers, like in India, it has happened. Okay, again, there was this movie which was being made on the life of one of the religious preacher in India. Now he is being put behind the bars. He was being held accountable on the charges of, sexually exploiting the minor and all. And the family, the parents of those minor were strong disciple of that. And imagine when that exploitation was happening, they were outside the gate. They were waiting that, okay, their daughter is getting the sermon, she's being guided. So that's the worst case. So yeah, again, it's happened in the world. We are living in a kind of, modern day collude. So we have to take into consideration everything, right? And this can only happen here. We are talking about more from the victim's mindset point of view and all. So if it is a dosha, uh, moving ahead. So if you have a 10th house Rahu and you have 4th house Ketu excess, and it is a Kalsar, if it is a Kalsar yoga in the right, so ambitious, workaholic, with path breaking potential beyond doubt. See, these are those people, like we talk about Indra Nuvi and people who become CEOs and all. Because again, understand this thing, we are not talking about just Rahu in the 10th and Ketu in the 4th. These are 3 points written Kalsar in a way that Rahu is so potent and powerful that he is controlling over all the 7 planets. They are in control over all the planets in this axis. So the positive of it, ambitious, workaholic with path-breaking potential, cosmopolitan life, and very, very strong. And if it is a dosha, so unresolved issues with the mother and being all the time targeted by the competitors. I was just doing this reading for a very senior police official. I don't know from where India he got my because of that podcast. I'm putting my numbers over there. Like today, Mars, like Moon is transiting in the Scorpio, and I got the call from him. And now, who can say no to such a senior cop, right? And he's like, so yeah, he has got Rahu the first in in Pisces, and he was in the Rahu Dasha as well. Rahu Mahadasha, Rahu Antar. It's like a lot of people are putting blames and this and that. So yeah, it's like that's what happens. Okay, 11th house Rahu and 5th house Ketu exists. So if it is the yoga, let's go to the right side. Native is definitely going to be popular for sure. Success in all the domains which connects the world. So when I say which connects the world, I mean to say modern day Facebook, modern day Twitter. So all those platforms and all which connects the world together, which brings the world together. And trust me, with this kind of combination, if you have a Kaal Sarp yoga and you are in that domain, in whatsoever way, you're connecting the institutions, organizations, bringing the people in one platform. So these are among those people like who ended up in inventing, innovating things and creating a kind of a name for themselves. So yeah, immense wealth potential beyond doubt, potential of invoking many dormant talents. Now, when we talk about the dosha, so discontented life for sure, and the past life karmas, baggage and all. Now let's look at the 12th house Rahu and the 6th house Ketu exists. Just so yes, if it is a yoga on the right, capacity to live in an alternative reality. You could be a sci-fi writer, you could be a creator of big things. I forgot the name, the guy who wrote the Game of Thrones and all. So yeah, J.K. Rowling and also all of that is the energy of the 12th house and Rahu in the 12th house. So yeah, success far away from the drama of the life, and the person could be a science nerd. When we talk about if it is a dosha, chasing the mirages, forcing stimulants for the spiritual bliss. I remember there was this guy who I met in Vancouver. He wanted to give me nirvana through mushrooms. Like you're talking to the wrong guy. Please, bro. I am not into all that kind of things. So yeah, powerful enemies and yeah, chaotic daily life. If you have that kind of dosha. Okay, so Anaita, we just almost reached the last 2 slides only. For all those people who talk about that again, what the takeaway or the extract of this session is not to prove whether Kalsar exists, it is there in the text class or not. Our objective was to tell you about the efficacy, effects, and intensity, how to see it, how to distinguish it with an open mind. That's what was the main objective. Okay, so just a screenshot I took. So from the Google, according to link, I don't know why they put LinkedIn. Okay, many well-known people, including politicians, actors, sports people, and business tycoons, have had Khalsa dosha in their birth charts. These include Abraham Lincoln, Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Emperor Akbar, Sachin Tendulkar, Dhirubhai Ambani, all these people. Now, I just randomly, I was in the when I was confirming about today's session, I was in these two last slides only. I was at the coffee shop. I was just working on these two last slides. And let me put the reference chart as well. The audience are gonna feel connected with it. Okay, so Sachin Tendulkar, for all those, I'm sure every Indian must be knowing about him. They worship him, being a cricket fan. And for the Westerners as well, in India, cricket is being seen as a religion, and he's one of the star player. And okay, if you look at his Lagan chart, so he has a Kalsarp Yoga,
Hmm.
Kalsarp Yoga with the excess of the fifth house and the 11th house. But again, see, people understand, like the way I mentioned this thing, you have to see individually. The ascendant Lord is strong in itself and in the house of the luck. So, ascendant Lord in itself is strengthened. That in itself uplifts the potential of the chart.
Yeah.
That's the point number one.
Yeah.
Point number two, I mentioned that is Kalsap Yog is also getting formed and affecting in a way two houses which are chiefly responsible for his profession. Sports, competition, fifth and the sixth house becomes very important. So in his case, his Rahu is there in the fifth house, conjunct with moon. So I said that, okay, if moon, sun or ascendant lord comes in the excess of Rahu Ketu, gets conjunct with them, becomes very strong. The chart becomes very strong. So yes, moon, Anita, whenever you smile like this, somehow I think she has someone and she knows and who might have that combination.
I'm also Leo Lagna with Mars there, right? Like I was,
Oh, okay. That's the reason you're relating with it. Okay.
and that Mars is very powerful for a sports person, like sixth house,
Yes.
exalted,
Or someone who's a lawyer, someone who's a doctor, surgeon.
boosting it even more. Like, like so that's a fantastic combination for, and Sun is exalted in the ninth house. So yeah, I mean, this is what we have to understand, like because of how the chart is moving, irrespective of the Kaal Sarp Yog, it's just he's not going to get bogged down by that. Like it's not going to go towards the dosh that you're talking about. It's going to go towards the yoga, right? Because of that's what we're trying to say, isn't it? He's going to be able to manifest the positive aspects because Lagna Lord is so strong, right? Yokarka Mars is so strong. That's
So
his.
strong. Got it. And the house, which is important for his profession.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's one such case.
Worker, look, Saturn in the 10th, that's going to make you hard. That's going to make you work for, like, he's a hard worker. It's not like and by the way, I think that even counters the Kaal Sarp in the sense that, overnight success and overnight downfall. No, it's not like that, right? Like that Saturn is actually helping him.
Yes. And and the thing is, whenever like Saturn is there in the 10th house, in certain houses, 7th house, it makes you legend in your field. It gives you greatness, potential to inspire and be seen as a great and legend in your field. So yeah, we can see one concept combination and one another is Jawaharlal Nehru. So you see in his case as well, if you will see in his case, he has this excess in the 12th house and the 6th house. And again, if you will see how the axis forms, people just look at, okay, this person is successful, extraordinary successful. Kalsap is all about Rahu and Ketu. Your destiny karma is so strong from the past. It's something, it's a gift, and it's a promise with which you are born. It's a promise with which you are born. Everything, and they have the Rahu and Ketu, if they can eclipse the sun and the sun, so what do you think? Can't they control, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, all these planets? And the things, look at the sign placement. So Rahu's there in the 12th house in the Gemini, and Ketu's there in the 6th house, and it is conjunct with Jupiter as well. And it has been seen that when he was made the prime minister, it all happened because of the fluke of like the luck, because he was not the very top choice. There were those who were the top choices. So yeah, it's like you can see that ascendant in itself is strengthened. you will see the placement and we all know that, we know Jawaharlal Nehru ji for his lifestyle, choice of cigar, and the good lifestyle, that, a pleasing personality and all. So Venus, you can definitely see the Venus.
Libra and fourth, of course.
I think the good taste, fine taste.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
yeah,
yeah,
like you said, we can also, like with the Kaal Sarp yoga, we can definitely understand it to be some past life.
on the merits, on the merits.
Something got left undone, like really, and the impression is so strong in the person's mind. I mean, look at this. He became prime. I mean, look at that. You wouldn't think that you just by, but then when you look at the Rahu Ketu axis, then oh yeah, okay, with Jupiter there,
That's the reason.
anything can happen, right? But otherwise, you wouldn't necessarily say, oh, he's prime minister material. You wouldn't say that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, it's not about, again, people who say and they get scared of Kaal Sarp. I would say that Kaal Sarp okay. The takeaway of this discussion is that when you see Kaal Sarp, you have to be discerning. You have to have that third eye and intuitive enough to first see, is it a yoga? Is it a dosha? You have to see the promises, and then if you are a counselor as well, you are an astrologer as well. So you have to guide the client in a very, very fine, efficient way, because he is going to have something which is very unevadable and very stupendous, very powerful promise in the chart. And imagine the guy is wasting his efforts in some opposite direction. So that's what is needed. It's a very sensible thing to deal with while catering, because these people are unique, special, like not special in that sense. I mean to say some extraordinary potential they carry. And yeah, the last thing, we will end this thing. We started with the grace of the Lord Shiva, Bhagwan Shiva. And I say there's one thing in Ramcharitmanas, Bhavi Meti Sakhi Tripurari. Only Lord Shiva holds the potential to evade something which is very strongly marked in your destiny. Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva. And yeah, so, okay, in the name of Kaal Sarp, I say that, okay, whatever, for doing the good deeds, there could be any reason for that. Even if the fear is driving you to do good things, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, so for those people who have Kaal Sarp Yoga, we say the worship of Lord Shiva, recitation of the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, doing the japa of the Bij mantra of the Rahu, Bij mantra of the Ketu. And although in India we have different temples and all where they claim they can do the puja for the Sarp dosha, Kaal Sarp dosha, Nag dosha, and all of that. But one such is which has been very strongly believed is the one of the Jyotirlinga of the Lord Shiva, which is the Triambakeshwar in the province in the Maharashtra in India, where you can go and you can get the Kaal Sarp dosh nivaran puja done for you. And I'm also done here with you, Anahita. Tell me anything else.
Fantastic. I loved it. I loved it. Thank you so much for all the work you put in. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, Anahita, you set a bar that I had to do. I was helpless. I was forced to work hard.
But one thing I'm going to add, and I think this is another remedy that I like to suggest, is Rudra Puja.
Yes.
Listen to is especially if you have your moon in Rahu's nakshatra.
Yeah, see, I would say that anything which connects with the Lord Shiva, like we say, okay, I forgot to mention in the slide, like Nag Panchami, which comes in the Shravan month. The Shravan months, Shivratri of the Shravan months, the Mondays of the Shravan month becomes very important. So what I'm trying to say is that do not take it as a curse, as a suffering, as something to be like very fearful of or something. It's not like that. You are born with special gifts and talents, and I would say that although bhakti to any god can help you and elevate you, but specifically for the nodal axis, Shiva, the seeking refuge in Shiva helps.
Yes, agreed. Very nice. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Anaida.
And I'm going to post this soon, but it was a lovely presentation, and it was really nice to have you on my channel officially. I mean, we've chatted before, but this is lovely. So thank you very, very much for coming. But yeah, great.
Thank you.
Take care.